Okay, we are live. Good morning, everyone. Happy Friday. Thanks for being here and tuning in today. It's Sam with another author video for you. If you didn't know already, I'm here with author Jenelle Leanne Schmidt to talk about reading, writing, publishing, and more. Hey, Jenelle.
Hi, Sam. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for being here. How are you doing this morning?
I'm doing all right.
Good, good,
It's the end
good.
of the week.
It is. Yeah, yeah. It's Friday morning, not too much to go wrong yet, hopefully. Yeah.
Right, right.
Other than a few technical difficulties getting on here, yeah, I think we're good. Janelle is a fantasy author, and you've written many books, I believe. Is that right? A number
Yeah,
of,
I've written quite a few.
but your newest one is called The Orb and The Airship. So I'll let her tell you more about that in a minute. I'm very grateful that Janelle agreed to be on here with us today and answer some of our questions. So as always, I have some questions prepared, and I will want to go through those so she can tell us all about her works, old and new. But let's make this an interactive discussion. So if you're watching today, if you're a reader, writer, whatever, fan of fantasy, a friend of Janelle just supporting her, or a friend of mine just supporting me, whatever. But any or all of the above. Post your questions in the chat about reading, writing, publishing, fantasy fandom, or any of those topics because we want to hear from you too. Okay, let's get started. For those who aren't familiar, Janelle, can you give us a quick overview of the books you've written, maybe your series, or just, I mean, maybe not necessarily every single one, if there's a lot, but just what kind of things have you been writing so far?
Yeah, for sure. So I write family-friendly fantasy,
Mm-hmm.
and I try to take my readers on an epic adventure, and I guarantee that they will not return home unchanged. So my tagline is "Safe Return Doubtful" because I'm also a big Ernest Shackleton fan. And I have a four-book fantasy series out called The Minstrel's Song, and that's about just kind of your standard epic fantasy quest. And then I have a middle grade, currently standalone, called Echo of the Fae, and
Nice. Okay.
that's about a young girl who discovers that her family has some pretty big secrets, and that sort of sends her into the Feylands that she didn't think were real, and she has to try to rescue a sister she didn't know she had.
Hmm.
So that one I'm brainstorming for a sequel now.
Okay.
But what's coming out next month actually is the first book in a brand new series that's got airship pirates and a wizard and sky battles, and it's more steampunk than anything I've
I was
written
gonna say
before.
it sounds a little steampunk, which is
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, I'm labeling it gas lamp because steampunk apparently there's a lot of rules and I'm not good at following rules. So gas lamp is where you can put dragons and magic in your steampunk.
And I feel like I mean, there's obviously an overlap of sci-fi and fantasy. Maybe steampunk has some sci-fi elements, but you're more fantasy. So,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
dragons and magic and all that stuff.
I tend to lean more fantasy. I do like watching sci-fi, and I've got a couple of flash fiction pieces that I've done with some space truckers that are great
Nice.
fun.
Okay.
But
Okay. So yeah, you've written what which you said at least two series, and now this is the beginning of a new series. That's impressive for an independent author to be so prolific. It's awesome. Okay.
thanks.
Yeah. Well, thanks for sharing. How did you get interested in writing fantasy in the first place? Are there favorite books or favorite movies that influenced you
hmm
or anything like that?
well, just writing in general, my grandma wrote a book, and
Cool.
my dad would read it out loud to us a lot. And so I think that was kind of where I first got the idea that a normal person could be an author.
Yeah. Was it like
Um,
fantasy or anything?
it wasn't fantasy actually. It's very down home, kind of Little House on the Prairie type
Nice.
of
Okay.
story. But I love it.
Yeah.
But my dad also read us a good amount of fantasy. He read us the Chronicles of Narnia, Lord of the Rings, Wrinkle
All the
in
classics.
Time, all the classics, Lloyd Alexander's Prydain Chronicles. So I just
Did you
kind
say
of
Wheel
fell
of
in
Time?
love. Huh?
Did you say Wheel of Time? I thought I heard that.
I have read the Wheel of Time. My dad did not read that one
Okay.
out loud to us.
You said something after Narnia or after Lord of the Rings. I couldn't tell which
Oh,
one. Oh,
A
Wrinkle in
Wrinkle in Time. A
Wrinkle in
Wrinkle in
Time. Yeah.
Time. Yeah,
Yes.
which is kind of a bridge between sci-fi and fantasy.
Yeah, that works. No.
Yeah.
Pretty much whenever I ask fantasy authors who inspired them, I mean, Tolkien and Lewis are always on the list. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
They're
appeal.
kind of they're kind of on the top of every author's fantasy authors list, I think. But I would
You gotta
say
have them on there. Yeah.
some of my more like influencing my writing style and my stories, I would say Lloyd Alexander, George MacDonald, Stephen Lawhead, and Timothy Zahn would be my top 4.
You and I talked about the Star Wars books because
yes.
I love Zahn. I know it's more sci-fi than fantasy, but great author. And I've read all of his Star Wars books, and I want to read his other stuff too. So
his other stuff is really good. I highly recommend the Icarus Hunt.
Okay. I've only read, I think, the what was it? The dragon one?
Dragon and Thief?
Yes, that one. Yeah. I read that one a few years ago.
Yeah, that one was good.
Okay, I want to get into some of the others too. So that's cool. Yeah. I was going to ask you who influenced you, not that your favorites are, but who influenced you, but you kind of addressed some of those. So great.
Sorry, I jumped the gun on that.
Hey, that's okay. That's a good combo. Yeah. I haven't read much Stephen Lawhead. My wife likes him though, so I know those names. Okay. Cool. Yeah, lots of good stuff there. What are we reading right now? Anything interesting?
Yeah, I'm always reading multiple books at a time because that's how my brain works, I guess. I just finished Rime Winter by DJ Edwardson, which is just, if you like the old school fantasy, that series is fantastic. He's got the 3rd book coming out this summer. And then Grey Wolf's Heart by C.M. Banchbach. And I'm currently listening to The Dragons of Introversia, and I can't remember who wrote that. I got it from the narrator. The Star Clock, that's hard to say. Star Clock Chronicles by E.J. Kitchens. Yeah. Okay. I read a lot of indie.
So. Okay. Yeah. No. I'm trying to do more. I mean, there's so many books. I don't have time to get through them all. You don't either. There's even the big names. There's ones I want to read, but I'm trying to read my friends too, who are published and who are getting their stuff out there because they need support too.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, I'll admit the ones you just mentioned, I wasn't familiar with them, but if they're indie, then that's good stuff. Okay.
Yeah.
Is there one author or one style in particular you think you tried to emulate when you were writing yours? Or does it depend on which series or which tone you're going for?
It does kind of depend on the series and the story. I would say I was probably shooting for Lloyd Alexander with my first series, and it always makes me happy when people go, "Oh, this feels like Prydain Chronicles." I'm like, "Yay!" Yeah. So I think I was shooting a little bit more for a cross between Timothy Zahn and Jim Butcher with my newest series.
I was going to say, have you read Jim Butcher's book, The Aeronaut's Windlass?
Yes, I have. Yeah. I love it so much.
I read that one a few years ago, and he hasn't done the sequel yet. And I'm like,
I know.
I'm like, I liked it, and I mean now I'd have to go back and read what happens again because I don't remember. But just what you described with the Orb and The Airship made me think of that one. So
yeah, when I was writing the book, I knew that book was out there, and I was really scared to write it or to read it because I was afraid I was writing the same story. It's not at all. It's not at all the same story.
Is it even the same in terms of like world building or anything? Like similar?
No, the world building is totally different. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, like totally different setting and everything. But yeah,
for sure.
Same kind of, I don't know, almost steampunky airships and stuff. Yeah. Okay. Well, that makes me want to read it. It's hearing it's Zahn and Butcher combined. That's a good combo. So when does it come out?
It comes out June 16th.
Okay. I'll have to keep that in mind. Okay. The Orb and The Airship, June 16th, everyone. Be there. Okay. Yeah, great discussion so far. I'm wondering if we can shift it from wait, there are a couple comments. Sarah says Merrick has major Captain Grimm vibes from the Aeronaut's Windlass. So there you go. Yeah. Okay. Merrick is one of your characters, I guess.
He's the captain of the airship, yeah.
Okay. And the book isn't out yet, but I guess you've had friends review it or something.
Yeah, so I ran a Kickstarter for it, the series. Nice. And so a lot of people have gotten early copies, which was awesome. Part of the perk of backing the Kickstarter was being able to read everything before everybody else. And the audiobook is live because
cool.
We were trying to match it up with the release, but Audible just kind of puts it out there whenever it's
Hey,
done.
that works.
So
Hey, nice. Okay. So it's out there already if you like
Yep.
audio. So
yep.
keep it in mind. Okay. Great discussion. I want to shift to ask, I guess, going kind of behind the scenes. I've asked people before, well, what's their biggest challenge? Challenge is what's writing, and I'll get there. But usually, one thing they say at first is finding the time. So I'm wondering, how do you find the time to write? I mean, most of us aren't able to write novels full time, although that's the dream kind of. But I think you're a homeschool mom, is that right?
Yep.
And I'm sure you got other things going on. So, what occupies? Hey, buddy. Speaking of children, there's my little guy. Hey, buddy, that is talking to someone. You want to come say hi? Okay. Oh, okay. Sorry, little cameo. This is my little guy.
Hi.
Hey. It's okay. It's okay. Yeah.
He's cute.
Thank you. That always makes it more fun to see the kids. Last one of these I did, we had a cameo from the author's daughter, so who was about.
Oh,
So yeah. So good segue.
Yeah.
But I know. So like, what occupies you during the day? How many kids do you have? And how do you find the time to write and all that?
yeah. Well, I have 4 children and I homeschool them.
Okay.
And since I have 4 hobbits, I often tell people that I am Gandalf because
Nice.
4 hobbits, wizards.
Just have to grow out the beard a little bit more.
Right. I need a big pointy hat.
Mhm.
So
What's the age range?
14, 11, 8, and 6.
Nice.
So
Okay.
so they're busy. They're wonderful, and they're upstairs cleaning the house right now. So hopefully that keeps them quiet. But yeah, I have a very supportive family, and so they all think that the fact that I write is really cool. And so they do give me a lot of time. I get some time in the afternoons. Most days, I mean, sometimes you got to go grocery shopping instead of writing the next chapter. But I also do a lot of writing after they go to bed.
I was thinking that. I mean, that's when I do most of mine at this stage. But with teenagers, I don't know if they go to bed like as early as you want them to now. But then,
well, we have a 7:30 bedtime, but the 2 older girls get to read until 9. And they love to read, so it works.
Yeah, well, that's good. They also let you write, and I mean, because there's fans of reading. And I was gonna say, at that point, you can kind of let them do their own thing while you do your own thing. Yeah, this guy, not quite yet. We're not there yet.
You'll get there.
Yeah. So okay, very good. So you have kind of a rhythm that works for you. You write in the afternoons and or in the evenings at bedtime. Okay.
Yeah.
And of course, as most of us know, it's not just writing, but you have to edit your stuff too. You have to you have to, you run the Kickstarter, I guess, and do all the publishing and promotion and things like that.
Everything. Yeah. When you're an indie author, you do everything.
Yeah.
So you have to get a team around you that has a similar vision and likes your stuff. And so I have 3 editors that I hire.
Oh wow.
And so my books usually go through about 3 or 4 rounds of edits. And then my husband does all my formatting, and he also likes to draw maps. So I get that for free, which is lovely.
Yeah.
I've worked with a couple of cover artists. Usually I work with Savannah Jazowski with Dragon Pen Designs.
Okay.
But occasionally I have worked with a couple others. So yeah, it's a team.
Yeah. I mean, no one writes in isolation, or if they did, they probably won't go very far. So yeah, that's good. And I was what was I gonna say? Yeah, I wanted to touch later on your publishing process and how that all goes, but I mean, I'm glad you have people with you, and it sounds like if you're able to hire editors, I mean, you maybe have made some profit. I mean, you're still not like independently wealthy or anything, but hey,
I'm not Timothy Zahn yet.
not yet. Yeah. And
No.
I mean, even authors like him have to go to cons and stuff. I actually got to meet him at a con a few years ago. That's pretty cool.
Very cool. I got to meet him a couple months ago because he came out to Minneapolis, and
Nice.
My husband was flying out of Minneapolis that weekend. And so I was like, well, let's go a little early. And so we paid to get into the con just so we could go see Timothy Zahn.
Good. I was living in DC area at the time, and they had their awesome con, and I didn't even look up beforehand who was going to be there. It was my first time going to a big one like that, and I was like, sure. and then I saw, then once I was there, I saw the program. I was like, Timothy's on us here. I need to find him. So that was cool. But yeah, if I know, I would have brought my books for autographs, but I did meet him one time.
Yeah, I did bring my books for autograph.
That's good. Yeah, you were smart. You planned ahead. Okay. Yeah. Well, I now I'd be like this huge thing of books because I have all of the Star Wars ones. But
Yeah. I only brought a couple. I brought the Icarus Hunt, and I brought my original Heirs to the Empire,
nice.
Thrawn, the original Thrawn trilogy. So he's very nice. I don't think that's how you're supposed to go to a Comic-Con, just like to go see one author, but that's what I did.
It works. No, when I was there, I was both as a fan, I like this, but as an author, I didn't. Is that like the authors aren't treated like celebrities, like for the actors and such, you have to pay extra to meet them, and it's this whole event. And the authors, they just have their one table, and they're kind of like hoping people will come to them. And as a fan, I loved it because I could meet him for free or for no extra charge. I met him. I met a few other comic book writers and stuff. But as an author, I was like, that is kind of a bum deal for the authors. But hey, that's for better or for worse, that's part of the life these days. Unless you're like Stan Lee, who was a writer, but then was also achieved celebrity status. You kind of have to do your own promotion, even at cons and such. So
yeah. Well, the nice thing was he had sold out of everything by the time we got to him.
Good.
So
yeah, it's possible to be big like that. Okay. Getting back on track, although I'm grateful for this discussion. But what are your biggest struggles then with the craft of actually writing or editing? Not just time management, but like when it comes to the writing and editing, what's the hardest part for you, do you think?
It kind of depends on the day.
Sure.
Because sometimes I would tell you that drafting is the hardest part because I'm bumping up against a wall and I don't know where the story's going next, or I know where the story's going next, but I don't know how to get it there. And
are you a plotter or a seat of your pants kind of writer, or both?
Well, I started very much as a pantser, like just sat down and wrote my first couple of books with no idea who anybody was or what the world looked like or where the story was going, and discovered later that requires a lot more editing after the fact. And so I was like, oh, okay, if I'm going to get faster at this, I'm going to need some kind of outline. And I still love the discovery writing. I still like to leave myself enough space inside the outline to know that, there are going to be places that surprise me, but I do more outlines now. So,
okay. Yeah. I tend, I'm a planner myself, and I know not everyone works that way, but it works for me.
Yeah.
So figuring out where things are going to go, is that the hard
figuring out where things are going to go, or figuring out, okay, I've got point A to point B, how do I get from one to the next? And then sometimes when I get my editor's notes back, I'll tell you that's the hardest part, because sometimes it's like, no, you have to change everything. I feel like Hiccup in How to Train Your Dragon, you just gestured at all of me. So anyway, no, thanks for laughing.
Yeah, sure.
But
I've written that struggle bus before. I'm like, but these are my scenes that I wrote for important backstory that is essential to character development, and the editor is like, it's flashbacks. They don't move the plot along. Get rid of it. And
yeah.
Like,
yeah, for sure. Or when my editor thinks that my main hero is a villain, and that's a problem. So we gotta change that character. So just things like that. And then I think the waiting. There's a lot of waiting to being an author, because you're waiting for a cover, you're waiting for your editor to get back to you, you're waiting for do audiobooks, so I'm waiting for my narrator and he's the fastest narrator on the planet, I think. Like I can't keep up with him. But there is a little bit of waiting still. And then there's just the, okay, everything's done.
What do I do now?
But I told everybody June 16th, so now we've got to wait. So
that's deadline, sure, or just it's hard to predict exactly how it'll go. And of course, if you do traditional publishing, then you gotta wait on that too, because on the wheels to turn there and someone to find you. But it's it's playing a long game. It really is. I mean, I've said that before with other guests I've had in here, and I've read it in a few books. But I mean, if we all have this picture kind of like being an author, just overnight success, which if that was ever true, it's not really true anymore. But yeah. So
I don't know that anybody is ever really an overnight success. It just
right.
looks that way from the
Yeah.
outside.
Yeah, I mean,
right.
Even the big ones who we would consider that like they they worked hard, and then suddenly they were discovered. Like I read Stephen King's book on writing, and he's one of the most successful living authors. And there was a time when he was like teaching part-time at the community college and submitting short stories and just waiting for his big break. And now that he has his big break, he's big, but wasn't always the case.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of toiling and obscurity that has to happen.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and
so,
most people don't see that.
Right. It's about perseverance, being willing to put in the work over time. And I mean, writing a book, writing a novel, a manuscript is great, and that's a big part. That's the first part of the process. But I mean, then there's editing and everything else you mentioned that goes into it if you want to be really good.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Sarah asked, in which book did your editor think your main hero was a villain? Can you comment more on that? Or
that would be the Orb and the Airship.
That's the new one. Okay.
Yeah, there's a new one. My developmental editor, I can't talk today. It's a problem. My developmental editor really didn't like Merrick, my pirate captain, at all. And I had to soften him a little. But I had a huge win the other day because I got his notes back from book 4, and he said Merrick is starting to grow on me.
Okay.
Book 4, that was a huge win. I was like, I think everybody else is gonna like Merrick before then, but he's also got who Merrick was. When you read the very rough draft of something, even then reading the polished stuff later, I think you still have a little bit of an image of who the characters were or what the story was like before. So he's got a different view of it. But.
Okay. So the first book is just now about to release, but you've already written book 4.
I have written all 5 books. Yes.
That's pretty impressive. Yeah. Wow. I was going to ask you about future plans in the series, but to have it all drafted up front, that's or just about. I mean, do you have book 5 drafted?
Book 5 is written. Yeah. So it's 5 books with a spinoff that doesn't take place in the same time frame, so it's not part of the series. So it's actually 6 books, and they're all coming out over the next 2 to 2.5 years, because I wanted to rapid release. I went to Realm Makers a couple years ago, and they were talking about rapid releasing, and I was like, oh, I like that idea. It is a lot of work up front, but now that we've kind of gotten through it, I think it's going to go really smoothly, and people don't have to wait as long to find out what happens next.
Not like Jim Butcher out there, if you watch. I don't think he's watching, but
don't sell yourself short.
Hey, who knows? No, who released his first book in the series? What, 2017?
Years ago. Yeah,
I got it in 2018. I think. I don't know if it came out that year or the year before, and still hasn't released the second one. And I don't even remember what happened in the first one now. So,
well, I think he's still doing better than Patrick Rothfuss.
Too soon? No. Yeah. Or not soon enough.
Not soon enough.
There you go. Okay. Yeah. Good deal. Okay. Then, we talked about difficulties or challenges. What do you think is the big strength in your writing, or hopefully more than one big strength? But what's one thing or a few things that your stories do really, really well?
I think I do dialogue really well.
Okay.
I really enjoy writing dialogue, and a lot of people have told me that it's very realistic and that they love it. So I'm gonna accept that as truth. Mm-hmm. I think I do a pretty good job. I don't know, my readers can tell me if this is true or not, but I think I do a pretty good job of tackling the tropes that are expected and giving enough of a twist that it surprises you without just completely subverting everything. So, because I think that there is a certain amount of expectation that should be hit. Absolutely. And then, but you want some surprises and you want some twists. And I think that's a balance that's very hard to achieve. That's the word I'm looking for.
People, people have expectations just because of the genre, and
Mhm.
what I read before. My book is about superheroes. I mean, I am relying, sometimes intentionally, consciously relying on people's understanding of other superhero tropes, so I don't have to explain the sci-fi science that I actually can't explain because I don't know real science. But I'm like, yeah, they have power because that's what happens from chemicals and stuff. But yeah, I'm expecting people to buy that, but I still have to surprise them and stuff. So there you go. Oh, Sarah says Jim Butcher is finally releasing the sequel to Aeronauts Windlass. I did not hear that. I mean, I've heard it's been in talks for a long time. I didn't hear a release date, so we'll keep
Cool.
that. Okay, yeah, good to know.
Very cool. I know he was sick for a really long time.
I didn't realize
So,
that.
yeah.
They'll do it. I guess I'll give him a pass, but no, for now. Okay, so dialogue, any other major strengths? I mean, major high points. I mean,
I think,
yeah, go ahead.
yeah, I think my world building, a
Mhm.
lot of people like that. I have a lot of help with that. My husband does a lot of brainstorming with me on that. Sometimes he starts all the world building process and then hands it over to me. So, yeah, I think that does really well. I think people like my characters. They're just
Mhm.
relatable, and you want to root for them. And sometimes they just kind of step off the page.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. You did say earlier you take people on adventures, so I mean you need characters and world building and all that stuff combined. But when you get it when you get it right, it's what they call a narrative transportation, which is like you're basically you're sucked into the story. You are invested in the story and you want to keep reading and you don't want it to end. So that's awesome. It's good. Yeah. What was I gonna say? Do you mentioned world building? Do your books, like, are they each a different fantasy world, or are any of them like Earth, or are they all like different worlds?
Currently, they're all different worlds. An Echo of the Fae is probably the closest to our own, sort of based on an island like Scotland, but it's not Scotland. So it's and it has Fae and magic portals, so
Okay.
not real.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I got that, but thanks. Okay. Yeah. It says the Cinder Spires book 2, called The Olympian Affair, is releasing in November. So
Oh, that's exciting.
finally, yeah. I'll have to go back and read or at least read a summary of the first one. But yeah, sounds good. Okay. Cool, good stuff. Do you have any writing or editing tips you can offer that you think most people maybe don't know or most people overlook?
Yeah, I was looking at that question earlier and I was like, oh,
That's a big
I don't
one.
know. I think, and I've heard this one before, so I don't know if it's one that people don't know. I do think it's one
Okay.
that gets overlooked
That's
because
okay.
it's hard.
Yeah.
But reading your own book out loud is a huge help with editing. And
It's true.
even if you've got a good editor, sometimes things will get missed. And even if you do this, sometimes you'll miss it. Or, if you do some of it and then you let your narrator do a lot of it. But I always find typos when I'm proofing the audio. And I always find stuff where I'm like, oh, 5 sets of eyes looked at this and nobody caught it, type of thing. And so I really do think there's a certain, when you have to read it out loud, when you have to say every word, it slows you down. And as authors, we can get so rushed and we can feel like we're so under the gun, or we have to, move the process along, that maybe we skip some things, or what you wrote. Your brain knows what you meant to write, and then you can't see.
So you don't see it, yeah.
The mistake, yeah. And so reading it out loud does slow you down and kind of forces you to see those.
It's sad for me, like how many books have typos, like now that I'm trying to read a lot more books, and I mean, even books that I read like by big authors and big publishers, almost every book I find at least one typo in. I'm like, oh, come on. But I mean, people make mistakes. I get it, but I'm like, how many books saw this and send it to publishing, and it happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, reading out loud is important. I don't always do that initially, but I have a writers group. Well, I mean, honestly, we've had a hard time meeting consistently lately But I have had a writers group in the past where we read portions out loud, and that's when I catch stuff. I mean, it's not always typos. I mean, it could be, but it's also just like I use that word 3 times in a row. I mean, it's not wrong necessarily, but it's repetitive. So I want to change that, or I'm like, that just doesn't sound as good as it did in my head. So
Yeah.
that's important. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and especially if I mean, just for readability, right? If you're going to stumble over something as you read it out loud, then someone might stumble over it reading it quietly as well. It's just kind of that, like, wait, that seems awkward. And it's I was an English major and an English teacher in high school for a couple of years, and so I can't not, but but there is I can't not see typos when I read, like you were talking about there, I'll find at least one in every book I read. I mean, and even Jim Butcher, even Timothy Zahn, they have a couple here and there, and that's fine. But it's funny because there's when a lot of times I would write awkward wording, on my students' papers. Oh yeah.
Sorry, my cat was joining us, and I was trying to corral her, but go ahead.
But that's something that's hard to explain, right? It's like awkward wording. Well, what do you mean by this? It's like, well, read it out loud.
I can't
read it out loud, and then you tell me.
It just is. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So
I work as a writer editor now on my day job, and I have to be like, this doesn't seem right. I can't, and I'm like, sometimes I can't tell you why. Sometimes I can, but sometimes I can't.
Right.
This doesn't sound good to me.
Yeah.
There you go. That's important. I mean, and we want the little details to be right. I mean, yes, most people will probably get on board with the big, the big story, the big picture, which is great. But for quality work, we want the little things to be right and to be perfect, honestly. So that is so important. Yeah, thanks for sharing. Thanks for the reminder. Okay, I was going to ask you about your publishing process, and of course we touched on that already. I know you did self-publish, so I mean, you do all of it. I mean, with the team, with help, but you didn't go through a publisher or anything, so you do all of it. How did you know, like, which path was best for you? Did you ever have to consider traditional publishing versus self-publishing, or did you just kind of decide one day to do it?
I think everybody, well, I mean, I'm not gonna speak for everybody on the planet, but I do think that the majority of authors start out with the dream of a traditional publisher.
Yeah,
I did,
I'm just recently trying that myself, and
yeah,
how it goes. Yeah,
for sure. And it's just a different path. There are different paths. But as I was, because I did spend about a year querying. Okay. And nothing I had written at that point was good enough. So, it's a good thing that I didn't get a publisher, but I kind of quickly came to the conclusion that I had a choice. I could spend my life writing query letters, which I detest, or I could spend my life writing the stories that I really want to write, which I love. And yes, it's going to be more work. And yes, I'm going to toil probably longer in obscurity. And yes, I have to do all the work myself, but I'm actually writing stories, and I'm putting them out there, and I'm finding my audience. And it's one person at a time. It's very slow, but the audience that I've found is so fantastic. Awesome. And I love writing these stories for them. And I don't like writing query letters. So
there you go. You're going to do what you love, and you are finding people who appreciate it. You may not be J.K. Rowling yet, but you're finding success, and you're finding an audience, and you're growing over time. That's good.
Yep.
That's awesome. Yeah. I know it's a hassle, but I mean, even these days, even if you do traditional, you're expected to do at least a good bit of the marketing on your own. I mean, I guess the appeal there is they might help at least somewhat with marketing, and or more people can find them. Maybe I'm not sure exactly. I mean, I'm on the journey myself still. I haven't done it successfully yet, but I mean, the dream of like I'm going to submit it to a publisher, and then I'll never have to touch it again. And they'll sell it for me. That's rarely true anymore. Again, unless you're Stephen King or J.K. Rowling. So
right.
Yeah.
And they probably still have to edit too.
Probably do. Or I don't know. Anyway, but yeah, good stuff. I'm glad you found what works for you. I mean, after like what, 9 books or something? You said you have two
I've got
already, but
I've got 7 books out,
okay,
and I've got 6 more coming that are already written.
yeah.
Yeah.
After 7 or 8 books coming out, then that, I mean, it seems like it works for you. So
Yeah,
that's great. It's good.
Yeah.
You're finding what works. You are living the dream, or at least on the journey to living the
I am
dream.
on the journey. I am living the dream. It's very nice being a stay-at-home homeschooling mom. I do have an advantage in that my husband works at a full-time job that he loves as well, that more than pays for our lives. So I, as long and my hobby pretty much pays for itself at this point. But a lot of people have hobbies that don't make any money, so it's like, well, if it's just a hobby, it's okay.
I've had a lot of hobbies that cost money and can be a time and money suck. Yeah.
So my husband calls my writing our high risk long-term retirement plan.
Nice. Hey, maybe by retirement time it'll pay off. Yeah. Okay, good stuff. Well, I'm glad to hear it's going well, and you're moving along. I'm just curious, like, when did your first book come out? So like, how long have you been on this journey?
I published King's Warrior in 2012.
Okay.
So it's been 11 years.
11 years, yeah. And still not nationally known or anything, but you have an audience, and they're faithful. It sounds like, and you've had enough success to keep going. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
Glad to hear it. Where are your books available? And either your previous ones or the Orb and the Airship, where can people find those if they're interested?
I mean, on Amazon is the big one. I believe most of them are also available, like if you wanted to buy them through Barnes and Noble, but the Kindle, like the ebooks, are all just on Amazon.
Okay. Amazon, and I guess through your website too, probably. I
mean, I don't sell them directly, so people can go to my website and they can find out about my books, which will direct them to Barnes and Noble or Amazon.
There you go. Okay, everything's online these days. It's easy to find things on Amazon. So okay. I wanted to ask you. We've touched on this also, but like, what have you done, or what are you doing for self-promotion / engaging the audience, marketing, if you want to call it that? I mean, that's, for better or for worse, that's part of the writing, especially self-publishing. That's part of the writing journey these days. So how's that going?
It's going pretty well, actually. Usually I would tell you marketing is the hardest thing, but lately I feel like there have been a couple of breakthroughs that have been really helpful, like the Kickstarter was, I think, kind of a big step. And then I just recently took the book launch blueprint class that Thomas Umstattd Jr. and James L. Rubar teach, and felt like I learned a ton about that. I've had a lot of opportunities lately, just like very recently, to be on shows like this and podcasts and different things. So that's been exciting and fun. And just and I did a Goodreads giveaway for the book one as well, of the Orb and the Airship. So that just ended, and we'll see. It's like it kind of runs, it does its own thing, and it gets done, and you get an email and it says, we have chosen your 100 fans and 1,000 people entered your giveaway. And
nice.
Okay, I don't know what that, it just does it by itself, which is lovely.
Okay. You think did 1,000 people actually enter? That's cool.
Yeah, 1,200 people actually entered the giveaway. Wow. And then they do since Amazon owns Goodreads now.
I didn't know that. Okay.
Yep. It's been a couple of years. I think it's been a couple of years. Right. But Goodreads has just kind of continued doing its own thing, and Amazon sort of stays out of it, which is lovely.
So far, I only use Goodreads from the reader side. Once I publish my book, hopefully that'll change. But yeah, for sure. But cool. Since they're linked, then Goodreads just grabs your book off of Amazon and sends it to the winners, and nice.
It's lovely.
Yeah, that's really cool. So that part is like something you don't have to do.
Yeah,
like the system or whoever is doing it for you. And 100 people will get your book.
Yeah, and everybody who enters now, the way that they do their that Goodreads does their giveaways now is everyone who enters a giveaway, that book automatically gets put on your want to read shelf.
Nice.
So it's just a little bit of advertising to.
It's cool. Yeah,
I like it.
I like it.
Yeah.
And you're on social media and stuff. Do you do much promotion on there?
Yeah, I mean, I try to just be active and interesting on on
That's
social media.
half about
More,
honestly. I'm not the expert. I've been doing it for a few years and have learned a few things, but I think that's half the battle.
yeah. So I've had a blog that I've run for, I think we were realizing like since 2007. So I have a lot of content. It has been a little quieter lately
Sure.
because I've been writing books, which is good. And then on Facebook and Instagram, I just try to share. A lot of times, Instagram is just pictures of books that I like, or books that I read, or books that I want to read. And occasionally, like the snow, because I live in Wisconsin and we get a lot of it.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, no, I've been trying to just. Appealing to the writer crowd is also the reader crowd.
Yeah.
There's definitely an overlap there. So I'm like, I'm not like I joined Instagram, I joined TikTok, and I was like, I'm not sure what to post that has to do with my writing, because it's very short content, and
Right.
and a lot of times I'm just talking about books. So
Right. And I think that's a valid. I think, well, my hope is that what I do is I post books that people go, ooh, that sounds interesting. And then they read it and then they go, ooh, she has good taste. Maybe she writes well as well. And I don't know. We'll see.
That's the hope.
But
Yeah.
Facebook, I do a lot of I'll do a lot of sharing. Like I have a fantasy find hashtag that I try to find cool things, cool pictures and funny memes and
whatever works.
Whatever I feel like.
I mean, we all, everyone consumes that kind of thing. Everyone looks at memes these days. So
right.
There you go. Yeah. Okay. Good stuff. Well, I only have a couple more things. So if you want to, so anyone watching the audience, if you have any questions or comments for Jenelle, last chance to put them in the chat there. We've had a great discussion so far. I had this on the list. I was going to ask you, what do you have in the works currently or for the future? But of course, we talked about that. You have the Orb and the Airship, and then 5 or 6 more coming out, or
5 more after that. Yeah,
5 more after that. So six total.
Yeah, Orb and the Airship comes out in June, and then the little spin-off story that is not part of that series but is set in the same world is Steal Tomorrow, and that's coming out in September, and it is an Oliver Twist retelling.
Nice. Okay. So. Cool. And then over the next maybe 2 or 3 years, you said, because rapidly.
About the next 2 years, the rest of the Turrim Archive will come out. So
okay. So here, everyone, follow that series, get them all. Beyond that, do you have any more plans for series or books in the future, or anything to? I mean, maybe nothing that's fleshed out yet, or maybe it is. I don't know.
Yeah, I always have lots of ideas. I do have, so I was talking about An Echo of the Fae, which is currently a standalone, but I have written a complete outline for book 2. And I actually have a cover for it now because my cover artist was bored and needed something to do. And so I was like, well, I'm planning on writing this book. And now I have one of the most gorgeous covers I've ever seen. And I don't have a book to put in it. So I need to write that.
Yeah, there you go. Okay. So An Echo of the Fae, it's only the one book so far, but it's going to be a series. Okay. I'm looking at your website. I see that was a Realm Award winner. Awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you.
How'd that feel to win that award?
Amazing. I've told people that's really the only book award out there that I care about.
Okay.
So that was huge.
Awesome. Well, very good to hear. Cool stuff. Okay. Well, last thing I was going to ask you was, where can people follow you and your work online? Can you give us the names of your website and your blog and your social media handles so everyone can follow you when they want to?
For sure. My blog is JenelleSchmidt.com. JenelleSchmidt.com.
Right. Okay.
And then Facebook, I'm Jenelle Leanne Schmidt, and Twitter and Instagram, I'm Jenelle L. Schmidt. And I'll put those in the I'll email those to you.
Yeah, that sounds good. Facebook, you have an author page as well, right?
Yeah, that's the Jenelle Leanne Schmidt.
Jenelle Leanne Schmidt. I think it says author. I just found it this morning actually, but yeah. Okay. Very cool. So Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all the big ones. Yeah. Go follow Jenelle and the ones who's on there. Okay. Well, great talk. Thank you for coming on today and answering some of our questions. I actually am excited for the Orb and the Airship. Now that I hear about it, I'll be honest. I interview about a few different authors on here, and I can't always read their books just because it's the time commitment, but that sounds like what I'd enjoy now. So
Oh, good. I'm glad to hear it.
I might have to check it out once it comes out.
People are really liking it. I
Okay.
got some big endorsers for that one, which was really
Okay.
exciting. So again, like these little marketing things, but
Yeah.
because of people I've met through Realm Makers, and it's funny because I had some authors asking me like, how do I go about getting endorsements? And I was like, go to Realm Makers.
Yeah, there you go.
Because you'll meet people and just like interact with much bigger name authors than you as like just normal people, and it's wonderful.
Yeah, I almost went this year. I was thinking about it, and just with our vacation time and stuff, it didn't work out. But because I'm querying, I was like, that would be a good place to make those connections. But I also thought, well, once I have a book to sell and market, also
Yeah.
be good. Maybe next year, we'll see.
Yeah.
We do have a few more questions in the chat. Carla asks, when you're writing, do you tend to make up characters and then the adventure for them, or make up adventures and create characters for them? Ooh, good question.
Yeah, that's a great question. I tend to make up the characters always come first for me when it comes to characters versus plot. The world often comes the very first.
Okay.
But it's definitely characters, and then it's like, okay, where are these characters going to go? What are they going to do?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Good question. Okay, characters first. They say that's better. I mean, there might be exceptions, but I mean, character driven is better than plot driven generally, because readers really connect and resonate with the characters.
Yeah,
that's good. Thanks for answering. And then Sarah asks, does Steal the Morrow include any characters from Turrim Archive, or is that a spoiler?
There is one, but it's very subtle. And
Okay.
I don't really flesh it out too terribly much. And you don't meet him until Mantles of Oak and Iron. But
Okay.
yes, there is one crossover character. But Steal the Morrow takes place about 100 years before the Orb and the Airship. So,
okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna look out for that. If you read the book, then
yeah. So Steal the Morrow can totally be read by itself. It does not. You don't have to.
But for fans who follow you, it's nice when there are those subtle connections, and you're like,
yes.
Oh, that's
yes.
Cool.
I try to throw a couple Easter eggs in here and there.
It's cool. It's like the moment when you realize that the professor is Diggory, and I'm like, whoa.
Yes, exactly.
Spoiler, sorry for anyone out there.
That one's been out for a while.
Yeah.
At this point, it's their fault if it's a spoiler.
I think the spoiler is over. Okay. Great. Well, thank you so much, Jenelle, for coming on today and just having this great conversation with us and for sharing your work with the world. Anything else you want to say to the people at home before we sign off?
No, just keep reading.
Okay. Keep reading. Good idea. So thanks again for being on. And thanks you at home for watching, for Sarah and Carla and any others commenting. Oh, wait, okay. One more question from Sarah. Since your husband helps with world building, does he also write? And would you ever consider co-authoring something with him? Ooh, good question.
We were just having this conversation with a friend the other night. No, he does not write.
Okay.
He he created the world that my new series is set in, and he created a bunch of history for it and backstory and all of this. And then he tried really hard to write a story, and he got through about a chapter, and he gave it to me, and he was like, "This is horrible. It sounds like an engineer wrote it." Well, he is an engineer, so it makes sense. Right. But it was very
imaginative, but words are not his medium.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so he was like, I am not a writer. So while, I wouldn't necessarily mind putting his name on books as like, giving him the credit, he doesn't want it. He's like, I don't write. So
okay. Good to know. Maybe in another life, or out there in the multiverse somewhere. Okay. Well, thanks everyone for watching at home and for commenting and for being here. You can like my page, Samuel N. Harris, for future discussions and content for writers, or sign up for my mailing list at the link in the description. When you sign up, you'll get a free sample of my novel, Fractured Heroes, a few of my favorite scenes that I think you'll enjoy. And of course, if you haven't already, go check out Jenelle's work too at JenelleSchmidt.com and on social media. Okay. Well, thank you for watching, everyone. Thank you, Jenelle, for being here today. Have a great weekend.